What's going on, guys? Welcome to Everything Always. My name's Michael Roman. The next big bad in the MCU is something that's been on everybody's mind and the tip of their tongues since we started talking about Marvel Phase 4 and 5, and especially since this most recent quote from Kevin Feige saying that the master plan was well underway. And in the shadow of the Fantastic Four joining the MCU sometime in the next 2 or 3 years, you have to imagine that of the multiple villains that cross over with that superhero team, at some point Galactus was going to be finally introduced into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And now, coming from Marvel Insider Mikey Sutton, Galactus is not only on the way, but with a twist to his herald. We're going to break down this latest leak coming from him and what it means for not only Galactus's introduction, but what the storyline may be for the Fantastic Four and how it might unfold just a little bit differently than what we've seen in the comics or what the Marvel fans may expect. Hopefully it won't lead to some very distressing news about what Marvel might want to do with Nova. We're going to break the whole thing down, but first, if you could grab the subscribe button. We're giving away 2 PlayStation 4 Pros, as well as a whole slew of other Marvel related stuff, including 2 limited edition Infinity Saga box sets. We're giving away one of these next week. All you have to do to be entered to win, hit the subscribe button, then hit the notification bell, leave a like and a comment on this video, and if you want, stick around to the end of the video. We'll get into all the giveaway stuff again there. Now, as I said just moments ago in the prologue, this report coming from Marvel Insider Mikey Sutton, according to his sources, that Galactus will indeed be introduced into the MCU via the Fantastic Four, and this is where the story takes a bit of a twist, that at first we will see Norrin Radd as Silver Surfer and the Herald of Galactus, but that rather quickly the new Herald will become Frankie Ray, a different character that some people who are familiar with the older Fantastic Four movies, or if you read the comics, will know very well, who becomes his Cosmic Herald in a long line of Cosmic Heralds that also include Ghost Rider and the Hulk, just to name a few. Now, while she is the love interest of the original Human Torch, Johnny Storm, in the Fantastic Four, she later goes on to take the moniker Nova, which would leave Nova fans of Richard Rider a little confused in wondering if all this recent news about Nova actually meant to imply Frankie Ray's iteration instead of Richard Rider. But if you're one of those people, and before you go getting worked up, let's take a second to look at something Mikey Sutton said poignantly to preface this report, and that's that Marvel Studios' main priority is to build out the characters related to the Fantastic Four in a way that Fox did not. And that says a lot about Marvel Studios' integrity in keeping with the quality that we've already come to know, but also understanding the mistakes that Fox did in the past. And if they somehow usher in Norrin Radd as Silver Surfer too quickly and then work him out too quickly over the series of 1 or 2 films, that's really going to upset Marvel Cinematic Universe fans and old comic heads alike that have been waiting for Silver Surfer in the MCU for a long time. Now, as they did in the comics, there is room for all of these characters to coexist, specifically when Nova took back up the mantle of Nova. When Frankie Ray had already taken the name, he actually went by Kid Nova to distinguish himself. But again, I'm not thinking fans of Richard Rider's iteration of Nova are going to have to worry too much about him being introduced into the MCU or being supplanted by a different iteration before he is, and let me explain. Sources' access to different characters being introduced and or different properties they want to produce, as well as different character arcs and plot points, doesn't necessarily tell us the timetable with which this is going to happen. There is more than enough properties and movie space between what they can do on Disney Plus, what they can do in other people's films, and specifically even a Silver Surfer film, which has been rumored to be in production over at Marvel Studios. There's a lot of ways we can get a ton of character arcs and have multiple Novas in the MCU, or be leading to them over the next, say, 3 phases that comprises, I don't know, 5 to 8 years, and fans not feel like they were gypped in any capacity, that we didn't get enough Silver Surfer, or that we got the wrong Nova in lieu of getting Richard Rider. Also, Marvel Studios took painstaking effort to set up Richard Rider's Nova Corps backstory in the entirety of the Infinity Saga. First shows up in Guardians of the Galaxy, we learn more about it during Avengers Endgame and Infinity War, and there's a good chance that if you've watched channels like mine for any amount of time, that you've heard everything the Russos said about including Richard Rider almost in the Infinity Saga and not getting to see the decimation of Xandar, meaning we eventually will whenever they do that in a flashback, and it'll be beautiful connective tissue at that. Either way, his introduction into the MCU is imminent and going to happen. His solo movie has been rumored to be in production now for the the better part of 24 months, and that would be a lot of smoke where there's no fire, pun definitely intended. And while a lot of these details make a lot of sense and may very well play out both in the context of the MCU not being held back by really any pre-existing canon except for the Infinity Saga, which has a bow neatly tied up around it except for whatever loose threads that they meant to leave, as well as the context of what they've done more recently in the comics, even some classic stuff. This seems like the perfect moment for me to point out something that I feel like I haven't said enough here at the channel, but when I do is resoundingly echoed by almost the entire audience here, and I'd like to hear your thoughts in the comments specifically about this, but rather how Marvel chooses to do both their new content and their old classic content going forward in this very unique Marvel Cinematic Universe that seems to have a taste of both. There's a lot of new stories and characters that have come out at Marvel over the last decade and a half that could easily work in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I'm excited to see them. But what the classic fans really yearn for is the material to be done justice in a way that it hasn't. Look, did we ever think that we were going to get an Avengers team film, let alone a Tony Stark the way that Robert Downey Jr. portrayed him, and character arcs like this in the MCU, a world where we can even care about a character like Korg? Of course not. And in stark comparison, again pun totally intended, to the tries before this, of course this is miles above that and more than we could have ever dreamed for, but because it delivered the classic story in a way that we had known to come and love it, in a way that was also fresh and new, something that Fox Studios was never truly able to do with the X-Men or the Fantastic Four. Now that the Marvel Cinematic Universe has them, they can't make that same mistake, and this is what I mean. To be perfectly clear, they can incorporate as many new characters as they want, but it would be a huge mistake to not offer the classic fan base the classic stories the way that they are yearning for them in the MCU, and not allow them to be done justice, meaning if you skip over Silver Surfer having his appropriate time as the Herald of Galactus and jump straight to Frankie Ray, instead of letting Silver Surfer have a ton of time, as much time as we want and need, and then eventually getting there over the next 5 or 8 years, that starts to really hurt the fan base in a way, well, I shouldn't say hurt the fan base, but rather you'd have a lot of disappointed fans, especially if she were to jump to immediately taking the mantle of Nova as well before we got Richard Rider in the MCU. Look, I don't want to sound like an old person, and I wouldn't dare compare our community here at Marvel over to one of those other cinematic toxic communities in the way that they turned on their creators. Marvel has a lot of great ideas, and it is an insane job they have of trying to marry all of those ultimate universes, all of the different things that have happened in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and whittling it down to just the few things that can happen on the big screen. Even with all these ancillary shows on Disney Plus, even with all these extra character arcs we're going to get now with 3 and 4 movies of a year, they're still limited as to what they can do in the grand canon of Marvel Comics, and you have to give them a little respect to know what they want to do with it. If Frankie Ray is truly the way they want to go, then you have to have a little faith in them to put together an awesome story as they did with us in the Infinity Saga, and what I'm promising they're going to deliver on here in the next 10 years. Look guys, they learned a lot of things in the last 10. Can you imagine what they're going to do even better now? Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments. First of all, the introduction of Galactus, but maybe the switching of his herald and rather quickly, and how important is it to you to see these classic stories played out, especially when it comes to Galactus, Silver Surfer, and the Fantastic Four, and how poor a job that's already been done in the past. I think there's a lot of weight on Marvel's shoulders to get this right. That's why you have to give them a little respect. I think they're going to make the right choices. Let me know what it means to you in the comments about all of this, and quickly let's get into the giveaway stuff before I let you go. We're still giving away 2 PlayStation 4 Pros, the next of which is at the 550,000 subscriber mark, which we are headlong into, could easily hit by month's end, if not next month. All you have to do to be entered to win, hit the subscribe button, then hit the notification bell, leave a like and a comment on this video, and that automatically enters you to win the 2 copies of the limited edition Infinity Saga box set. We're giving one of these away on New Year's Eve, regardless of the subscriber count. That'll be Monday night in less than 2 weeks. If you want to get in on this entry, all the same rules apply, and it'll automatically enter you to win the PlayStations and the other prizes here at the channel as we double down through the new year. Again, all you have to do, hit the sub button, then hit the notification bell with notifications turned on, leave a like and a comment on this video, and because it's truly random, the more videos you like and comment on, the better chance you have of winning, especially over this next less than 2 weeks. It's about a week and a half till New Year's Eve that we'll be giving this away. All winners are announced at the end of videos, and if you missed the 2 winners for the PlayStation 4 Pros at the 500K mark, all you have to do is scroll back through the video. I always include the subscriber count and the winner in the title of the video. You'll see it, and then just skip to the end. They're announced there. My name's Michael Roman. This is Everything Always. If you're traveling for the holiday season, please be safe out there. Stick around. We'll be posting again real soon.